To everybody, I just want to introduce Zaid to you. He's a social activist, a community art facilitator, a project and program manager, and an entrepreneur. He currently manages the training program at the Butterfly Art Project, which holds a community of more than 290 active artistic agents who implement healing and art through art classes in their respective communication with traumatized children. Zaid, I'm delighted to welcome you. Thank you for being here, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to share with us. Depending on time, Zaid, I might just give you a heads up when we're almost at the end. And if we haven't managed to answer all the questions, I'm happy to put them together for you and then send them to you with their details, and then you'll be able to reply to them. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Lovely. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Well, up to you. Take it away.
Cool. So I actually have a slide. Should I share from my side instead?
Yes. Can you share it from your side? Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
And try to do that quickly.
There we go.
Yeah. Over here.
Okay. Yep.
So, cool. Thank you so much, everybody. So yes, my name is Zaid and I work at the Butterfly Art Project. I'm the training program manager. And yeah, welcome. So we're just going to go through a little bit of a slideshow, if that's okay. Okay, I'm going to put off that sound. That might be really annoying. Okay, so yeah, like Pam has said, so we are a arts organization. We focus a little bit less around producing art on a technical skill level. Of course, that is somewhat involved. But basically what we do is that we have a training program, a mentoring program, and then we also have our Heart for Art Center, which is our Heart for Art after school program, and an art center in Capricorn in Vrygrond. So what we do is that we train up community art facilitators. So these are adults working already in communities with children. Doesn't have to be necessarily a teacher. We have all sorts of people that are just connected to children that need a little bit of stability in their lives. And so what we do is we train you in our early beginnings course, and that's learning the 4 different disciplines in art, or at least in art therapeutic interventions. So I'm going to go through a little bit more, but just quickly to say, our current sort of modus operandi is that we have our training program where we upskill our adults. They then go into a mentoring program where they have weekly engagements to consistently enhance their skills and the quality of the implementation. And then we also offer internships at our Heart for Art or Art Center in Vrygrond, where adults can physically come into our classroom spaces. They work as an assistant, and we show them how to implement art therapeutic classes. So this is the part, Pam, where you will share a video for me, right? So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And are you there?
Zaid, you okay? We ready? We're going to share it now? Okay. You ready?
And
we are all traumatized.
Okay.
Trauma in our soul is caused by an event that overwhelms us. Our thinking, our ability to feel,
Zaid, you okay? We ready?
and our will are no longer in balance, and our being becomes disorientated and dysfunctional.
And
traumatic events happen every day in children's lives. Trauma in our soul is caused by an event that overwhelms us. Physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Our ability to feel, death of beloved one, our will, accidents are no longer in balance. Natural disasters such as floods becomes disoriented and find dysfunctional. Loss of a home, acts of war, poverty, traumatic events may have traumatized every day in children's lives. Trauma we respond to emotional domestic and gang violence, overwhelms freeze, physical or camouflage, emotional or sexual abuse, and our ability survival mechanism. Their capability to our amygdala acts like a no longer area in our brain, and our senses becomes to protect ourselves and find dysfunctional. Our loss of a home faster. Acts of war. We breathe faster and to bring more oxygen into our lives. Children's lives. Trauma our muscles fill up with more blood and we start sweating, freeze, cool us down, camouflage, emotional or sexual abuse, and our ability to survival way enabling the human body to survive accidents and situation in our brain, and our depending on the level of available in the resources. Our loss of a home faster. Acts of war. We can digest the traumatic event and return to normal to our children's lives. Our muscles, if we do not have these innate resources to digest the traumatic wound in our soul, sexual abuse, we can't survival way enabling the human body to survive an accident situation in our brain, and our depending on the level of available in the resources. Our loss of a home faster. Acts of war. We can digest the traumatic event and return to our trauma with flashbacks. Our muscles, if we do not have trouble in our resources to digest the traumatic wound in our soul, sexual abuse, we can't vomiting, eventually to survive and loss of trust that are normal reactions after traumatic event in the resources. Our loss of home faster. Acts of war. We can continue and experiencing and return to our trauma and engagement by our muscles. Now, if we do not have trouble in the butterfly appetite, we offer children safe spaces to build resources to deal with trauma and by using art as a normal and to prevent post-traumatic stress disorder in the research. Our loss of home faster. Acts of war. We can continue and experiencing and it is all obtained trauma and engagement by our muscles. Safe spaces for children and the butterfly where survivors can experience rhythm and deep to stabilize resources. To prevent these and our bodies and most importantly for free expression of mind together creating art or creating rituals where survivors can experience rhythm and deep to stabilize.
Zaid, I'm so sorry about that. We're not quite sure what's going on, but would you like to carry on? And then we're going to see if we can get the video going on our side.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It sounded very chaotic there for a second. It was like videos are playing on top of each other. But basically, what I would like to share with everybody is how trauma. I'm certain most of you know how trauma works. But at the Butterfly Art Project, when it comes to trauma, we believe that basically when it comes to the creative arts, the art is an opportunity for us to digest our trauma. And that is through expression and creativity and emotional development. And that all comes through art therapeutic interventions. And what's most important, especially for developing children, is that when something traumatic happens to you, when a stressful thing happens to us, we then go into a state where we actually have the potential to relive that trauma over and over again. And most of the time we label it as post-traumatic stress. But what happens with children is you don't want them to actually start having an unhealthy relationship towards that sort of happening. And with the arts and how it works with the Butterfly Art Project is that we basically give them opportunities to use art as a way to digest what has happened, not necessarily to resolve, because we don't have that power, but we do give them the opportunity then to consume and be able to build resilience around what is happening to them. So I'm just going to continue sharing my screen over here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the next slide. If ever you wanted to, you can just take a screenshot of that, or people could easily just find our videos on the Butterfly Art Project YouTube account. So How it works. Our trainings, we call it early beginnings. This is a very adaptable module. We train you up in the 4 different art therapeutic methods, which is basically clay, watercolor, mixed media, and oil pastels or drawing materials. And so we take people through a 24-hour training, and you basically get about 6 hours of training in each sort of discipline, starting with clay and how to form clay, using watercolor, using oil pastels like the picture in the back that I have over here, and also using mixed media. And we basically go through how you can use these different mediums to focus or to allow emotional stability and social engagement. And you as a community art facilitator, watch the children through lessons and be able to rate them on particular categories. So you can rate them on the emotional ability, the cognitive thinking, the ability to come up with new and creative ways of redesigning their own, the lesson that's provided with them, and so on. We then also offer you an 8-week internship at the Art Center in Vryheid, where you can get at-hand experience at our art center. We assign you with a mentor, and with our training, which is 24 hours long, we then give you the opportunity to develop a portfolio of evidence. So that's you as a teacher coming in, implementing this very new skill that you've learned, and you actually start developing a way of writing out a portfolio of evidence where you provide your reflections and your relation to art and to the difficulty of it and what you do not understand and so on. And that basically gives our educators or our community art facilitators a chance to understand the mediums that is being covered, but also giving them a chance to understand their feelings towards it. Because in art therapy and in art therapeutic interventions, you really have to understand yourself as an educator and separating yourself from what is being produced with the kids. We teach you an understanding in monitoring and evaluation as well. So that is, our child development assessment tool. I will show you a little bit about that. We also train our community art facilitators in developing their own art projects. So an art project is basically an 8-week lesson plan where you use the first 4 weeks to develop a skill, and there's a theme and there's a needs assessment or a needs address. So that art project actually addresses a particular theme. So let's say there's a lot of abuse happening in that particular community or with your community group. We train you how you can address those challenges, not in a very acute way, but using art as an intervention for the kids to explore that narrative and understand it and start owning it. So that, the traumas and when things happen again, it doesn't concretize in their system and later they become adults that can't actually deal with the things that happen to them or that particular trauma being able to resurface over and over again. We also connect our community art facilitators with mentoring and connecting other peers. So I said, like, we have these artist hubs and child case study hubs. So artist hubs is quite an interesting model where we have all of our CAFs being able to come to a space where they can either be guided by a leading facilitator, teaching them more specific things like, art techniques and skills, but also being able to develop a vocabulary around art mediums and what are the healing properties of those different mediums. And then, of course, we don't just have the early beginnings training, but we have multiple other modules that once you graduate in that first module, you can attend all of the other training workshops. So we also train our community art facilitators how they can raise funds for their own community groups, whether you're a teacher and you're running an after-school program, how you can actually raise funds to pay for the materials. We have a handcraft module, we have a sustainability and income generation module, we have a theater module, So there's multiple modules that you can have a look at that really gives you the specific set of skills that you can implement with your kids. Okay, so I'm not going to go through too much of this, but basically we have a we have a criteria of who is able to become community art facilitators, but basically we look for anyone that is willing to work in a community. I have really interesting stories. Like I know a woman who's actually a domestic worker and she works in Yanga, and she just happens to have a few kids that comes to her in the afternoons when she gets home. And now she has about 300 learners that come to her in the afternoons and started a full after school program once a week. Well, over the whole week, she has about 300 learners. And she's just running that on her own, using the resources through the Butterfly Art Project. And like I said before, what we're trying to do is create really this army of art therapists, if you could call it that, and using that portfolio of evidence as not just something that proves that you've done the work, but also it's a collection of all of the learnings that CAFs go through, the relationship to the different mediums, designing their own lesson plans and artworks, and really just understanding and using that as a reference or textbook. So that is what I don't know why that's moving. Okay. So we call it a community art facilitator journey. Really, just so that our three objectives at the Butterfly Art Project has changed somewhat, but what happens is that you come in for that entry module, you get introduced to a mentor, and that's the sort of the beginning of what your journey as a community art facilitator looks like. And the essentials are all of the different mentoring online resources, which I'll also go through later, as well as like modules and workshops. And every year we also have a specific theme or campaign. So this year we had a theme called Trial of Courage, and it was all about, we found that many of our learners were suffering from anxiety and sort of lack courage. And we used an art therapeutic form or method called form drawing. And it's really lots of breathing exercises, being able to take your children under like a 15-minute exercise where they draw different lines and form on large sheets of paper, recreating that into an artwork. And those artworks then get submitted back to the Butterfly Art Project, where we showcase those work in different art galleries. So this year we did something very interesting and new. We decided not to go to different art galleries. Last year we were at the Tijdsmaker, and then the year before that at Youngblood, and we would always focus on going to galleries. But we realized that if we wanted to address and meet the needs of our communities, we needed to have our exhibitions in spaces where children hang out, where they would be proud to see their work, instead of a gallery where they felt like really intimidated and not wanting to, touch and see and experience what they see. And so we decided to have our exhibition in different malls. And so this year we had our exhibition at Blue Root Mall in Tokai, which was really fun. Lots of parents and children and brought their own families where they could actually showcase the work. And that is an opportunity for the children to really instill pride in what they've done over the last 8 weeks for that particular theme. Something that I would also like to share is that our community art facilitators have opportunities where we show them how to run their own exhibitions. We have a Michaelmas conference, which focuses a lot more around the anthroposophy, or the more art therapeutic side of how to implement these kind of interventions. And then, like I said, the internship is available. And we are in hopes to, at the end of 2023, we will reach 250 community art facilitators working with their individual groups. We've already far succeeded that. We now have a community of about 299 community art facilitators, and they're working with something like 11,000 children across the board. and we've started in Johannesburg as well, and hopefully headed to KwaZulu-Natal. Let's see. And once these community art facilitators become more experienced, they can also start organizations of their own through our Project Cocoon sort of project. And that is all about guiding our community art facilitators in starting and establishing NGOs, how to fundraise for themselves, how to really create a board, and how to develop projects, long-term projects in their own communities. So with this, this slide was really just so that we could share what it's like being a community art facilitator. Like being a teacher itself is really difficult. So you have your left brain, which is all about, the logic, and doing everything the right way, and it's the part of the brain that says, okay, I know how to do lessons and I need to do it this way, and so on and so on. But things never really work out that way. Our experience as community art facilitators is that you have to be really flexible, because when it comes to the creative side, is that your kids actually, or your children that you work with, you might work really hard at developing an art lesson, but it goes completely the other way. And the art therapy side is really about how you can facilitate and take a group of children through an experience, and still reach a particular objective. And so, when we look for new community art facilitators, we don't look for people that are just really organized and so on, but we look at people's ability to be flexible when it comes to the arts, being able to really engage with the children, really be able to understand the social engagement, being able to witness the small little signs of them feeling safe, because that's really what we want to create. We want to create art therapy groups where children are able to feel safe and express what is happening. In my experience, most of the time, kids would only share what is happening in their homes once they feel safe. And the only time that they do that is not necessarily in the classroom. It happens in the parking lot. It happens, when you're in the hallways. It happens outside of the classroom structure. And so, when we speak about the right kind of mindset and what we look for when it comes to community art facilitators, is really just being able to have a balance between that left brain and that right brain. So I'm not going to go through too much of this, but we, in terms of our movement, or when I talk about a community art facilitator network, we really just, our engagement is, we try to have not too much obligations for you as a community art facilitator or as a teacher, because we know your jobs are already far too difficult to keep up with. So what we offer you and how to stay a part of the network is really just to keep a basic attendance register, every now and again share a picture with us. You can come to 24 hours of training throughout the course of the year. So just one training module or 8 or 3-hour workshops that you can plan over the year. Our trainings happen on Saturdays. It happens, it happens in the evenings as well. So those are all the spaces. We really try to accommodate as many people as possible because, most of us have jobs and we do this actually as another side hustle. And then, of course, we have our child development assessment tool. And something that we are trying to do is collect about 1,000 samples of these child development assessment tools. So how it works at the Butterfly Art Project and the Butterfly Art Project method is that we have a baseline drawing where where children are asked to do a specific creative task. And that could generally my ideas, or what I do with my kids is, well, I do sewing most of the time, but what I would always recommend to our CAFs is that they ask their kids to do a baseline drawing where they specifically ask them to draw maybe a family member or what their home looks like or what they see in their environment. And after 4 terms, we ask them the exact same exercise and we do a comparative of the first drawing they did and the last drawing. And often what you can see, because you provided that consistency and that art lessons and that safe space, you'll see a huge difference in terms of technique and skill, of course, but also the willingness for the child to express on paper and to more easily sort of create from the heart or from the soul. So I'm at another second video, which is now sharing that child case study I have, Pam. So let's see if this will work.
Yeah, we can share it.
Okay. Let's
Holding Pam. Yeah.
Every week, the Butterfly Art Project creates space for community art facilitators to talk about the children they work with. Any child can be presented, not just the problematic or withdrawn ones. Every child benefits from the right art intervention. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe was a German scientist and artist born in 1749. He did a lot of nature studies and developed a system we now call the Goethean observation method. We look at 4 elements which one finds in nature, the human being, and even in a child's artwork. The physical body of the human being is like the mineral world. All the rocks and crystals are pure matter, not alive. Science can measure it. The etheric body can be called life forces too, and we have them in common with plants and trees. Saps run through them, making them alive, like blood in human beings and breathing. All the life functions belong to the etheric body. The astral body is about sensations and perceptions. Animals have an astral body too. They have instinct, move around, have feelings. And the I is the self-consciousness only a healthy adult human being has full contact with. In education and therapy, the adult helps the child with their I to find their healthy way into the world. For a child case study, it is best to choose a free artwork, a drawing, painting, or a free clay artwork. We take time to look at the physical of a child's artwork. We talk about the details like color, the medium, size, shape, proportions, all the facts anyone who sees the artwork could agree with. No feelings or ideas, all must be measurable. For exploring the etheric, we describe the contrast, polarities, markings, movement, and change of direction, rhythms, patterns, compositions, theories, ideas, and thoughts. To grasp the astral elements of the artwork and work with our own projection, we name what feelings come to us out of the artwork. And then, the most important, what kind of psychosocial support is suitable? What kind of art activities are recommended? That is the I, the ego of the facilitator finding the way forward in the healing art process. The collaboration of the group enhances the experience and perception for everyone. We all come away having been enriched. To join the next hub or to present a child case study, kindly contact Zain Nazir at zain@butterflyartproject.org or contact him on 073 493 4114. Come join our child case study hub to get to know the process.
Just to say, you don't have to contact Zain. Please don't actually contact him at all. I have created a meetup in the Rover app where everyone can come and witness what a child case app looks like. I think the next one was going to happen for the next week Tuesday. So anyone is welcome to attend that.
That's great. And if it's okay with you, we'd love to share those videos that we weren't able to at the beginning. So is that okay, Zaid, if we shared that with the community? Is that all right?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And as Zaid said, please pop over, go and have a look, see what the Butterfly Art Project are doing. And we'll be back at 10 to. We've got one international speaker and one local, and we'd love you to join us for that. So thank you, Zaid, again. It was really valuable information.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
the
you.
best. Thanks a lot. Cheers.